Hello everybody, welcome to the table. My name is Devon.
And I'm Liz.
And this is Board Game Hype. So, what are we going to be playing today? What are we reviewing today?
Okay, today we're talking about Kabuto Sumo.
Kabuto Sumo.
Alright.
Kabuto Sumo by BoardGameTables.com. It's a, 2 to 4 player game?
2 to 4 player, released this year, 2021, so not this year.
2021. Last year.
And it is set for ages 6+. So really, pretty much anyone can enjoy this game as long as they're able to do basic things.
Yeah. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the overview of the game, the objective, the story, all that fun thing.
Absolutely. So, as a player in this game, you are competing as a beetle at the Worldwide Insect Championship. So you are wrestling other beetles with the goal of being the champion wrestler to earn your place among the legendary wrestlers that have come before you. So this offers us 8 options. Actually, we get 8 wrestler choices and 5 junior wrestlers, which is awesome if you're playing with kiddos.
Good for families, because if your kids aren't yet to that advanced mode, you can go ahead and get the Junior League variants, and then they can easily play along with the family. So,
sure.
So yeah, well, the way we're going to do this here is we're going to review out of, what, 6 different objectives, essentially. And we do that, we play the game roughly about 3 to 4 times, and then we have our little review cards that I made that we can use. So we're going to go off of that, and this is what we're going to do with our review. Everything that we review is from 2 players' perspective specifically. So we're never going to play 3-player or 4-player, so we're not going to compare this to 2-player and a 4-player. It's purely going to be just us 2 playing. So we are specifically playing at that 2-player count, nothing more than that. So we're not going to be comparing it to the 4-player, 5-player games, etc. And our reviews are going to be based on 5 different objectives and 6 different objectives. And the first one being components. So we're going to take a look at the components of the game and kind of judge it out of 10 to see whether we like the components or we don't like the components.
Yes, and we actually, little fun fact about these cards that we're holding, we fill them out on our own after we play the game. So there is no collaboration on this part, so we are surprised just like you will be.
Yes, and so the second objective that we're looking at is accessibility. And so that's going to be like play time, pieces, are they easy to see, visualize, etc., etc. The third piece is going to be theme and story. So how much of the theme, really worked for us, didn't work for us, etc., etc.
Yes, then we're going to talk about artwork, graphic design, so that will kind of accompany, I would say, the components and accessibility, but it'll be a little more focused and honed in.
Bingo. And then we have gameplay and mechanisms. So how does the game play? How do the mechanisms actually work together? And are they enjoyable and fun? And then you want to say the last one?
For sure. Then we will talk about experience and feelings. So that's our overall experience during the game. So when we talk about feelings, we'll talk about during and after, because I think it's important to think about both sides.
Yeah. Both sides of it.
Both sides.
And then lastly, we are going to say if this plays well at 2 players, in our opinion. So our entire thing is to help you discover new games that you can play with your spouse, your friend, your partner, etc. And so when we check the box, if it's a yes, it's good to go. If we don't believe it works well at 2 players, we're actually going to be docking it a 0.5 rating, just because we, are always looking for games at that 2-player count. So would you like to explain a little bit how to play here?
Absolutely. So as a player of Kabuto Sumo, you are going to start with this little inventory. You start by selecting your beetle. So I have mine. I am the Ampolla del Diablo, or the blister beetle.
And I am the Sisyphus, the dung beetle.
Right. So everyone will start with like a medium piece and 2 little pieces, and then essentially you just put them on this little
thing.
This thing. It's like a runway. It's like a ramp.
It's like a ramp. There we go.
You're going to put it on there, and you just use 2 fingers, push in a straight line, and the goal is to push pieces off.
Look at that.
You push pieces off, then you get to add them to your inventory. And if you run out of pieces, you lose.
Yes, so there's 2 ways to win, or there's a way to win and lose the game. So
Yeah.
you win the game by knocking your opponent's piece off of the ring, and you can lose the game by either being knocked off the ring or actually getting rid of all of your tokens. So if you've used all your tokens and you have no more, well, you lost the game. So there's 2 ways to lose and win. So yeah, essentially players are going to go back and forth like that, moving this thing around wherever they would like, taking a piece from their inventory, pushing it up, and trying to knock things out over here. And then one thing we forgot to mention is that each of these cards have their own special abilities. And so, for example, my dung beetle has this thing called, "Is this stool taken?" And what that means is you stack 2 of your greens. So stacking is just putting them on anything that is bigger than it. Then if you stack 2 of those greens, you get one of these things from the general supply into your inventory. And then it has roly-poly. If you stack 2 of these, then you get the big poop. And this dung beetle has a big poop. Essentially, it's the biggest piece on the game, and then you can use it as a normal piece. So yeah, I think let's go ahead and dive in just one at a time how we're going to rate each of these. This game is supposed to play maybe 15 to 20 minutes. What did you say? 6 plus players, I think.
Ages 6 plus.
Ages 6
2
plus.
to 4
Yeah,
players.
2 to 4 players. So let's go ahead and talk about the components of the game. Go ahead and tell us all about what you think.
So components wise, we rate things out of 10. So I rated it actually at a 6 out of 10. So for me, that means that I like the components. I enjoyed them. There are some opportunities for improvement in my personal opinion, but overall, really good experience.
That's actually kind of interesting. Okay, see, this is cool because I don't know what she's going to be rating. I actually rated it a 7 out of 10. For me, the components overall were pretty good. I love these tokens. I love the characters. I'm not a huge fan of the board itself, just simply because, I mean, yes, we didn't glue it together, so that comes out, but this thing is not always level because your playing surfaces always change, right? So it's always sometimes going to be tough to push this little piece up over the edge, and that's just a nitpicky thing. But outside of that, I think overall that the pieces were pretty good. I like how each piece has its own little, like, each special piece.
Each wrestler has its own, like, special piece.
So let's go ahead and dive into accessibility then, because that's kind of ties into that. Accessibility for me, I'm actually rating that a 6 because I had a few issues with the accessibility coming from a readability? I think that's a word, right? Readability standpoint. Some of these cards, you won't be able to see very well here, but on these cards, it shows you the different icons of the type of tokens that you can use. The icons look so similar that it's really hard sometimes to determine what token you're actually supposed to be using. So I know for newer players, you might get confused a little bit. Do you want to go off on that?
Yeah, for sure. So accessibility wise, I rated it at a 5. So, and I actually have notes very similar to that. So I know the first couple times we played, I was like, no, I get the big brown piece. And you're like, no, you get the medium tan piece.
Yeah, and
I was like,
no, you get the big brown piece.
So that is definitely something that I think could be improved. And, you know, something as simple as adding like a texture or a pattern to one of the pieces would help differentiate those really, really easily. They're already really cool tactile pieces. So
yeah, and I think the pieces themselves are fine, but it's really like the cards and stuff, the icons, maybe putting an icon on there to help with determining what that is, or a different kind of pattern. So let's go into theme and story. For me, I love the theme and story that goes on. I rated this a 9 out of 10. And for me, the entire time, I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like, I feel like I'm a rhinoceros beetle, you know, fighting it off with the opponent. And each of these pieces, I mean, is so relatable to the card that they're giving us. And I just love the flavor of, like, literally you stacking your poop to get a bigger poop. Like, come on, people. What do you think?
So I didn't rate it quite as highly on theme, and that's only because I thought about it. I think each wrestler has its pros and cons. So, like, this wrestler specifically, the Blister Beetle, is my favorite to play. So I would rate it like 10 out of 10. Loved
Good
it.
point. Yep.
But I have played other ones and it just wasn't quite the experience for me. So I rated it a 7.
Oh, wow.
So don't come at me.
Whoa.
Don't come at me all reckless. I did definitely feel like you were like in the ring. And I think sometimes it just felt like it was a little too much.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Yeah, some cards are better than others.
Yeah, which, because they're for different players that aren't us.
Exactly. So we are now onto the artwork and graphic design. So you want to talk about artwork and graphic design, please?
I rated this one a 6 out of 10. So I like the artwork. I like the graphic design of the game. For me, I think there are some little tweaks and things that could be made better. One thing I really love about the artwork and graphic design is they have these 2-sided wrestler cards, and I love that on the back you get like the story, you get the flavor text, which really helps. Bring the flavor.
Continue.
But I think it really helps drive home the theme and the story and enhance that player experience.
Yeah, I'm actually at a 7 on the artwork and graphic design. I think that goes back with the accessibility a little bit.
Yeah.
I knocked down a few notches with that. And then also the fact that the tokens, there is really no art on the tokens, which, is fine, but I think they could have probably done that.
It would be cute to have a little face on them.
And for me, I really don't, I understand the underwear on the Beatles.
Right, yeah, it's traditionally.
I'm not a fan of that. I understand it's traditional, but I was just not a huge fan. I would have been fine without that on there. So now we're going to be moving on to the gameplay and the mechanisms. I gave it a 6. So the reason the first time we got this game, we loved it. Oh my gosh, we could have rated it a 9 the first time we played it. Second time, okay, great, we still like it. 8. Every play, it's been kind of going down a little bit simply because that mechanism of pushing a coin, knocking things off, cool. Yeah, you can use your abilities and stuff like that, but like really after like your 4th or 5th game, it kind of gets a little old. And so it's one of those games where you can play for fun and then probably pass off or gift to someone else, What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I actually rated gameplay mechanisms as a 7.
Okay.
So pretty comparable there, definitely with similar feedback. So when we first opened this game, I think we played it 3 or 4 times in a row and we were obsessed.
Yeah.
100%
we wanted
obsessed.
to play it all
we
the
spent
time.
a whole afternoon playing Kabuto Sumo.
Yeah.
Obsessed.
Kabuto Sumo! Sorry.
Okay. Get lit. But yeah, then as we played it more, I think it has lost some of its luster. I think sometimes also the game lasts a lot longer than 15 to 20 minutes. So we have had a lot of games that are 30 plus minutes, and maybe that's just the way we play. But
maybe we just suck.
Me.
Like, you heard it here first, folks.
We are not wrestlers.
We are bad.
That's it. We are not the champion wrestlers.
That really ties in with the next. The last piece of objective that we got is experience and feelings. So the overall, when we're thinking experience and feelings, it's like, did you feel immersed in the game? Like, did you feel like a beetle actually pushing it off? Did you feel like you actually wanted to play it again? Did you have such a good experience that you'd be like, oh, great, let's constantly bring it back? And so I was just talking about how over time you kind of lose that experience. Mm-hmm. And for me, I still gave it an 8 because, again, I loved the theme and story and how I felt like the beetle was actually getting pushed around. But I think if you would have been able to play it the same level as all the other ones, then the experience probably would have been a little higher for me.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for you, it kind of taps into that childhood nostalgia of WWE and like wrestling and all of that kind of stuff. SmackDown.
Do you know what The Rock is cooking? You don't know what?
No.
Well, we just ate, so it's fine.
So
what'd you rate this for experience?
So I rated this at a 6.
Oof.
So, which to me, a 6 does not mean bad.
I know. It's just
6
like,
is not
it's
bad.
such a difference.
So 6 is just, it's not in my top 5, but it's also not like, oh my gosh, this fell square. Like, this is not a game I want to play again. I think definitely you do feel like a bug. One thing that I really like about this game is that as you are going, even if you are not doing well, you can absolutely come back. Like, this is very much like an underdog can save the day kind of a game, which I love. Because I do think there are some games where that's just not.
Well, yeah, and I mean,
you know, you lose and then you're just like, well, now I'm just going to lose the whole game.
Well, you can have someone that's so good at, like, this is the funny thing about this, is you can have someone who's so good at angles and math and everything, and they push it, they're like, this is perfect, and then it just goes the opposite way because of the stack mechanism. Like, when you stack pieces, they get heavier, and so over time, once you start pushing pieces away, they move in various places.
And so, it creates extra space on the board. I know one time we played, we ended up with a giant hole in the middle of the board, and we were just gosh.
Another reason why 15 minutes.
Like, what the heck?
Is not a thing, because that was like a 45-minute game. Oh my goodness. So the last thing, does this game Kabuto Sumo play well at 2 players? Because that's why we're here, right? That's why you come to our channel, is for that 2 players perspective, right? So, does it play well for you at 2 players?
Absolutely. 100%. Great 2-player.
Yeah, it's definitely great for a 2-player game. It's very much one of those games you can play in front of the TV and just push the thing. Okay, cool. You know, if you want. It's a really good
conversation game, I think. Like, you can, easily have a cup of coffee or something, like be in a coffee shop environment or at your home. Like, there's a lot of options.
Options. We love options.
We really do.
So, that comes down to, that's kind of our feedback about the game. Let us know if you liked all the rambling that was happening, because this is our first video and we are super good at it.
Obviously.
Yeah, I'm talking to you. Totes pro-fash. That's sus, bro. That's just sus, okay?
No, we're not sus.
We're not, oh, sorry, we're not sus. Anyways, so what we do now is we take all 6 of the things, we add them up, and then we average them to get our overall hype rating.
Mine came out at 6.25, approximately.
6.25, approximately. Mine came out at 7 even, because I'm cool.
Well, high five to you.
Sus, bro.
That was savage.
So that checks the box of we liked it. And yeah, it's very much one of those games where I would definitely get it. You know, if I were you.
It's a game I love to show people.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a cool concept. I think when they're like, board game, like, here's a board, I'm like, would you like to push some pieces out of a wrestling ring?
And this is a dexterity-based game, and it's one of, like, I definitely could say this is an entry-level gateway into dexterity. It's not the best example, but it's also not the worst example. It's a fine game to play, and that's why we both liked it.
Yeah.
So, I think that's going to be Kabuto Sumo in a nutshell. Or in a rhinoceros shell. Beetle shell?
You're stretching, babe.
Yeah.
You're stretching.
Do you want to close it out for us?
Yep. So I think that'll be all for us. Thank you so much for watching. And please check back for more.
We got to do the thing. Let us know how much you enjoyed this video or how much you did not enjoy this video in a comment below.
We like feedback.
We love feedback, especially the people who really like us. Or really hate us, because that's fun too. So if you really hate us,
troll away.
Troll away.
Hit us up.
We'll just let it happen. And then we'll crawl away like our little beetle friends. And we'll say, ta-ta for now. 3, 2, 1, ta-ta for now.